Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis Giannoutzis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutzis.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world, and I want to welcome you to today's episode as a mashup with three wonderful guests that are coming from different episodes. Before I go there, I want to just ask you, if you haven't already joined the Facebook group, the LinkedIn page, go ahead and check out those different areas for sure on the different platforms. Leadership is Changing is the name of the platform of the page and the group on Facebook and LinkedIn. Hey, the other thing too is if you haven't already checked out episode 184, which is Ask Denis episode, it's a freestyle episode, which is talking about asking for help or ask for help. Hey team, if you're needing some help or if you just want someone to talk to, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Send me a message on social media or on a private message on email, and that'll be in the show notes for sure. Alrighty, let's talk about our guest for today's session. From episode 51, Ritika Singh. She's the CEO of a sales consulting firm called Rethink Limited, and she speaks wonderful stuff in relation to what she's sharing with us. From episode 53, Rebekah Harvey, who's the head of talent enablement at Clearwater Analytics. And from episode 55, Scott Wilson. He's the founder of Digital Influence. It's a digital marketing and advertising agency. So just check out this episode. It's a mashup. Once again, if you haven't already checked out the three of these guests that I've had, Ritika from episode 51, Rebekah from 53, and Scott from 55, then I'm going to encourage you to go and listen to the full episodes of all of those different podcasts. Beautiful guests, wonderful inspiration and insights that's sharing with us all. All right, team, sit back, take notes, and enjoy the mashup.
Here's a great question for you in the sense that there may be several people, but I'm just going to ask you to choose one. Who's your favorite leader? Now, this person could be alive or from history. So who's your favorite leader and why?
Yeah, I've been asked this before. I really struggle because I can't pick one leader. I have a couple. I really struggle. I'm the kind of person who learns from anyone and everyone. And so I struggle with this. So I won't be able to give you one, but I will give you a couple. I'll stick to it.
Okay,
I'll start off with Indra Nooyi. She is the past CEO for PepsiCo globally. She was one of the longest serving female CEOs. She has an American Indian heritage. She's consistently been on the list of the most powerful women in the world. And for me personally, I think the heritage combined with the fact that she smashed so many ceilings makes her one of the people that I look up to even today. She's just come out with something new about the care industry that she's picking up as her passion for the moment. And it's just really uplifting to see leaders go, I've done this, what can I do next? And their mindset is always what next? So Indra Nooyi, for anyone, for a young woman especially, go check her out. She's extremely inspirational. Someone else I look at, and this is a bit out of the box, but I'm based in New Zealand, right? And for us, rugby is quite big over here. And another leader I really look up to is someone from rugby. So we're based in New Zealand, and rugby is quite big up here in New Zealand. And I think this leader, a few Canadians might know about him as well now, but I'm talking about Sonny Bill Williams. So One of the other things I've realized in the past few years that a lot of leaders are unnamed leaders. They're not officially named a leader, but they lead in everything that they do. And Sonny Bill Williams is one of those players. He's one of the best athletes we have around. He's a very good rugby player, just exited rugby in New Zealand. And he is a leader on field and off field. And that's really important, I think, moving forward. It's not just what you do at work, it's what you do outside of work as well. Because in this age of where social media is taking off, people are watching you all the time and leaders are being scrutinized. So when you look at Sonny Bill Williams and what he does off field for his, people that follow his religion, people who follow that mindset, it's quite inspirational. So probably they're the two people that I'll tell you about today. There's a lot more, but let's not get into that right now.
Oh, I'm sure there is a lot more, yeah. And, so two leaders that you've just shared, great experiences and thoughts about why they've actually helped you, which is good. Rebekah, a question for you now is, who is your favorite leader? Now, this person could be alive or could be from history. So who is your favorite leader and why?
There's so many great leaders that I've had the pleasure of working for. So I'm not going to pick one. I will choose somebody from history. I would say Eleanor Roosevelt. So for your listeners who may not know who she was married to the U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt during the war years. She was a political powerhouse in her own right, though. She became the first U.S. delegate to the United Nations after she lobbied hard for the U.S. to join the UN. She was a tireless advocate throughout her life for civil rights, women's rights, rights of refugees, did a ton of work around refugee resettlement after World War II. Just an amazing woman.
Yeah, so it sounds like a person who, from history, fantastic, and lobbied, pushed, believed in something very strongly, and actually pushed for it to happen. I mean, when it did happen, also had to then lead it and step up and do that too. So that's a wonderful trait to have, and to see that being done. I think a lot of leaders complain. They go on about things, but they don't actually push for it.
Yes.
They don't actually step up for it, and that's not leadership, is it?
No.
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 Yeah. Hey, Scott, who's your favorite leader? Now, this person could be alive or from history. Who's your favorite leader and why?
I love, Jim Rohn was a real leader for me. And the reason I loved it was his philosophies were so simple. Work harder on yourself than you do in your job. It was like, that's something that really sung to me, work harder on yourself. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And so he has led me over the years. Never met him personally, but have met him, through my ears and through the written book. He was someone that really led me. And what I liked about what he was talking about is he talked about things and gave stories and examples and metaphors. And I really like his thinking and how he would challenge you. And I think that's as a leader, that's one of your jobs, is to challenge people as well. Jim Rohn for me would be someone who really stood out. I still to this day love listening to him.
I love the way he speaks, and then his voice and the way he says things towards the end of a sentence. It's really
of course.
tremendous.
Because his mindset, and I think as a leader, that's something that you should be sharpening as much as you can. Your mindset and bringing what you bring to the game. So Jim Rohn, world class.
Oh, wow, listeners. Hope you really enjoyed that mashup from Ritika, Rebekah, and Scott. Ritika from episode 51, Rebekah from episode 53, and Scott is from episode 55. Check out those different episodes if you haven't already done so. Some really, really good thoughts there and wonderful things to learn. Once again, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group or the LinkedIn page, go ahead and check them out. Leadership is Changing. Love to see you on those different platforms. And if you need any help, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Happy to talk about what you're needing and taking things from there. Hey listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. please feel free to share them with your friends, your family, your network. If there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's some feedback you'd like to, or a question you'd like me to ask my guests as I interview them, or a question for the Ask Denis freestyle episode that happens once a week, then send me an email, denis@leadingchangepartners.com. And love to catch up with you if you're wanting to, so feel free to reach out to me, team. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.